because otherwise they sneak right out. But last year we were here, I got to be here just for a day for the show because we did an event for Whitetails Unlimited, and we did a Bass Pro Shop seminar the night before, Thursday night of that week. And so last year I was here just as a consumer. I was walking around, it was really kind of nice. Prior to that, I hadn't been here for a couple years. I love this show. It's probably one of my favorite ones I've ever done. We don't do a ton of consumer shows. We used to do a lot of them. I haven't done consumer shows for a while because we've got a lot of projects going. This is a really busy time of the year for us. We like to shed hunt. Anybody in here shed hunt? I mean, who's got snowshoes? Because where I came from, we have over 3 feet of snow on the ground. Next weekend is Shed Rally. Shed Rally is it's a thing that Whitetail Properties has put together. It's the biggest shed hunt in the world. It's this social thing that you use social media, Instagram, Facebook. You tag Shed Rally, you hashtag it, you get entered in, you win prizes. Us, Yeti, there's a bunch of them, are involved with it. So we won't be shed hunting by me. Well, we might, but like I said, the only way I'll pick one up next weekend if it gets stuck in my track on my snowmobile, because we are really, really buried. But I like this time of year because obviously it's shed season. We don't get out real early. I'm big on leaving deer alone. I don't like pressuring them during the season or out of the season, but really this time of the year and for the last like 6 weeks as they're dropping, I don't go early. I don't shed hunt public land either. If it was public land, I might do it a little bit differently, but I don't want to bump deer out of the area when they start to drop because they're so susceptible to pressure right now and they'll move off and they got to survive and they're driven by food sources. And if you leave them alone, how many sheds did you find last weekend? 17 sheds he found last weekend. Now that's Jeff. I'll introduce my buddies here. So this is Jeff Forsberg. Jeff Forsberg started out as a client. He still is a client. He hasn't made his final payment yet. He's still a client. But no, Jeff is a friend of mine. Sarah is here. Is Sarah? She was here. First 5 minutes were too boring for her. She's out of here. They are up from Missouri. That's his dog. We're training his dog. His dog's name is Tito. Tito is a real nice dog. He's young. He's 18 months. He's definitely a puppy, and he is in the process. We're going to use him because yesterday in the seminar with him, he was phenomenal. And when I say he was phenomenal, I mean he made a bunch of mistakes, which were perfect to show how do you adjust. I didn't know how to adjust to begin with. These guys can attest to that. I started sweating. I'm not in shape, but I was really sweating yesterday because I was getting kind of frustrated. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how that worked out. We're going to build off of yesterday with him. Has anybody been by our booth? Some of you I've seen at our booth. So we had a booth downstairs. That pretty little yellow dog was laying there back. He's back. I got the other two up in front. I'll introduce them. This is Taylor. I'll have to wake her up to introduce her. She's just sleeping there right now. Spry is here. Spry is pretty attentive. Spry, anybody ever follow our YouTube stuff and all that? Live with Spry, that's her. So Live with Spry was a dog that we trained live on Facebook. We used Facebook Live and we filmed for a little over a year with her, starting out at 7 weeks old. And we didn't know what we were starting out with. We had this puppy, we put her on a bed. If you guys see these beds that they're on, I call that place training. I think it's a really important skill. We had this little puppy, we put her on there. She fooled around on it a little bit, we put her back on it, and we kind of laughed about it. And that was it. It was like real short. Episode 1, real short. Then the next one we did was, I don't know, we were screwing around a little bit more in the house with her, and we filmed it, and we went live on our Facebook page, and then that was it. Now, Live with Spry is really informal. Like, it's super candid. All we do is train a dog. But we didn't realize Live with Spry was going to turn into Live with Spry. About a week later, I got a bunch of Facebook messages. Facebook's a really good tool for us to get information to people. I get a lot of messages on it, and someone sent me a message and said, how come you're not showing that puppy anymore. What do you mean showing that puppy anymore? They really liked watching me train that puppy live. So I told my wife about it. She said, well, why don't you do a little bit more of it? So I started doing it. Well, then it got into, we're into 14, 15 of them. And I started like actually numbering them and kind of saying what we were going to work on. So it turned into a series. We call it Live with Spry. She made a ton of mistakes that first year. And the nice part about Live was there was no hiding it. Like when I do a seminar, before I get going, and I'll do some stuff with the dogs, but I talk a lot, I ramble a lot. I put a disclaimer out there to start out with that this is not a demonstration. I'm going to use the dogs to make retrieves. It's not a demonstration. Because here's the thing. Now, a conditioned response. If you can see Tito, what we should do is, why don't we do this? It's hard to see. Can anybody see Tito right now that's not in the first 3 rows? Hard to see him. Tito's the old yellow one over there. Jeff, why don't you bring Tito over here and put him up on the stage? Because I think it's important to watch these dogs. So I heard the crowd kind of respond when as soon as I picked stuff out. She points at this dog, and this dog opened her eyes. That's her level of excitement right now. She's 5 years old. Her name's Taylor. She's the White Tails Unlimited mascot. And she is really a nice dog. She's a shed dog. She's a tracking dog. She does upland. She does waterfall. She's a certified therapy dog, works with kids that have autism and different cognitive disabilities. My wife has her through this certification thing. She does everything. I was at a high school once, I was introducing us and the dogs, and I got through that, and I said she's also a narcotics detection dog. 3 guys got up and it went right down. And I was just kidding, she's not. But she does everything. And she's very good. She barely gets up. She barely gets excited about this. You can see that one. She's pretty excited about this. Now, I'm going to think about how I set everything up, and I'm going to see how this goes. Because my first thought just was, I'm an idiot. I'm going to send that dog who's really tense right now, who is yesterday broke off of her place a couple times. She just couldn't handle it. She just got too excited. She broke off her place. We fixed it. We put her back in. Everything worked out. But I'm going to take Taylor. Come on. I'm going to line her up. I'm going to send her on a retrieve. Taylor. And she woke up. Her tail's wagging pretty good. She makes a pick. She decides to show everyone in the front row. She makes sure to show Spry. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on. Oh, you're cool. Oh, yeah. Come on. Come on. Now, good. Very good. Taylor. Taylor. Like molasses in January. That's how this dog is. She's just smooth. She's cool. Taylor. Come on, 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 come on. Good, dead. Good. Now, let's get a little Spry here. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So excited. I mean, she's looking forward to this. Come on. Come on. Taylor, get up. So we're going to switch spots. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. can't, it's hard to see in the back. Her eyes right now are right here. Oh, Dad, just send me. Just send me. Heel. Good. That's right. Whoa. Come on. Good. Good dog, good dog, good dog, good dog. Here, here, sit. Good. Good. She can't keep her feet on the ground. She's just so excited. Sit here. Sit. Good. Now, that's what I call a creeper. I turn my back and we'll fix that. Now, she's just so excited. Now, she's young. She's 2 years old. So, that dog did not make a retrieve. She literally did not make a retrieve until she was over 10 months old. If you watched on Live with Spry, you'll know it. I went through some serious struggles. Major, major issues with her. Some of you guys can't see it, so I'm going to do one down the middle here. Oh, I landed on someone's lap there. You want to just pitch it in the middle there? Good. Heel. Sorry. Good. Good. Here. Hold. Hold. Good. Dead. Good. Good. Get up. Get up. Get up. Here. Here. Sit. Good. Now, she's fast. And she's pretty sharp. And those, to be honest, weren't that great. Like, she fumbled around a little bit in there. But you know what happened was, as she came through that aisle, so I like using structure. Like, I like these straight, narrow hallways. Like, this is like a hallway for her. It's real easy for her to go out and back. Your environment that you're using is real important. This kind of talks about yesterday. Tito struggled really bad yesterday. But to be honest with you, in our booth, he's pretty good on place at home. In our booth yesterday, I couldn't even get him to stay on place. He couldn't breathe. He was so excited. He was nuts. He was so stressed out. There was 1 million people there. There were a quarter of the people there yesterday that there are today. He couldn't even sit still in our booth. Today, he's laying in the back sleeping half the time. In a very short period of time, the habit that we formed a long time ago has come back to him. But we changed the environment yesterday so much it really threw him for a loop and he struggled. Your environment's really important with your dogs. I use this thing I call a rule of fives. 5 days in a row in 5 different locations before I move on. So whenever I'm working on something new, whatever it is, I'll do it 5 days in a row and make it be perfect. And then I'll move, and it doesn't have to be moved very far. It might be move into a different room. But watch what happens the first time you move into a new room. It becomes real uncomfortable, and it's likely that they're going to struggle. This room is a new room for us. We weren't in here yesterday. We were next door. That's going to make a difference on Tito today. I know it is. We'll see. I'm pretty sure I know it will. So, but my disclaimer before I ever do a seminar is, it's not a demonstration. I just showed you stuff that looked pretty good. Who would be real happy if their dog did what those 2 dogs just did in this environment with this group of people? Put your hands up high. There. I was going to say, damn, you guys are a really tough crowd. So who in here has a dog? What kind of dogs do we have? Because this will help me kind of change my seminar probably too. Who had dogs over here?
Shepherd.
The first 2 weren't labs. I've never done a seminar like that before in my life. Everybody said lab. Who got a lab in here? Who doesn't have a lab in here? Wow, pretty good, 50-50. So the lab people, we know you're here. You had Australian Shepherd? And you had a poodle pointer? Who's got poodle pointers? I saw a couple people with poodles out there. Another breed. Name me another breed. Who's got a pointing dog? What kind of pointing dogs? GSPs? Who's got GSPs? Who's got Weims? Who's got Jottars? No Jottars? Well, another pointer. Vizslas. Anybody else with a Vizsla? Okay, so we got some pointers. Who's got one that's not a pointer, not a retriever? Who's got a golden retriever? We had one of those last night. I love Goldens. They're just like labs with long hair. I grew up with them. Not a retriever, not a pointer. Who else one?
Golden Doodle.
Golden Doodle? I'd call it a retriever.
I have a corgi.
Corgi? And you're going to shed hunt with it? You're going to shed hunt with it?
He wants to.
Will you send me pictures? Can I post them on my Facebook page? You can do it. I don't think you can't do it. There was another breed.
I have a
Catahoula?
Shih Tzu Maltese mix.
Shih Tzu Maltese mix. You know what you get when you got a bulldog? No, just. What's that?
She hunts rabbits and kills them.
Absolutely. They're all canines. I mean, tracking dogs, we do tracking dogs too. And people get all worked up about tracking dogs, so you got to have certain breeds. You know what the good tracking dogs, the original tracking dogs, what happened if they weren't good? They died. Like any dog that's alive today comes from genetics that were good at tracking, because otherwise they'd die, because they used to have to track to live. And so today's dogs are all descendants of tracking dogs. Tracking is easy. Easy for dogs, because it's really, really natural. And I don't care what breed it is. Who had another breed back there? What'd you got? Border Collie and a German Shepherd. German Shepherds are phenomenal. Shepherd, I used to hunt in college. I was at a game farm, and we hunted pheasants, and that's where I really got in. It was when I really got into some of the upland stuff. And the best scratch bird hunter at the farm, at the game farm, was German Shepherd. And the guy was a real good trainer. The dog had a great nose. I mean, you can do anything with the dogs. I'll put that out there right now. I don't care what breed you have. I think what you need to do, and I will say this, people ask me what's the best breed. I don't know. I don't know if there is a best breed. I think what's important is the dog, the style of dog fits your style of training, which fits your lifestyle. Those three things all have to line up. So my dogs are family dogs first. Every one of these dogs lives in our house. They're family dogs first. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I hate it when people tell me you can't have that with a hunting dog. I think you have an advantage if you do that with a hunting dog, because I'm a big believer in field trust and connection. You're going to notice none of my dogs wear collars. I mean, I don't even put flat collars on them. And early on, he's got a slip collar. He's got a little slip. That's a leash that I've designed. It's a combination lead type setup that we use to transition dogs off lead. You know how I like to heel dogs? Without a leash. That's ultimately my goal. Spray. Heel. I'll do this up and down some of the aisles. So this, here. Watch my dog's feet. I think feet are real important. I think positioning is real important. Leaders lead. What does that mean to lead? You're in front. If my dog's out in front, she's leading me, and I don't like that. It takes a lot of athleticism to move feet like that. The hardest one is the turn into. Because dogs don't naturally walk backwards. Nobody leads with their hind quarter. It's not natural for a dog to lead with their back. She has to learn how to do that. But I tell you what, she's on a leash right now. Does anybody see how hard I'm pulling on the leash? She feels me at the end of it. No doubt about it. To do stuff like that takes a lot of connection. She's got to feel me at the end of it, and then we're going to take it and we're going to do it with off a leash. That's where this comes in. She still feels this. Come on. Did you see how sloppy that got? As soon as we broke the connection. I didn't steer her with it. Come on. Come on. What happened? Now she doesn't make the turn very good. See how crisp it got? It's just feel. Where's Tito? You want to see some excitement? Oh boy. Who's got a dog that's excitable at home? Happiest dog in the world. He wins the contest every single day. At our house, I have a happy dog contest. He wins it. He is the happiest dog alive. He's also a little bit over the top mentally. That creates problems to his feet. He makes bad decisions down here because he gets so excited up here. But I love him. I can't fault him for trying. He really's got a lot of heart. But sometimes he gets a little excited. Now, he has a tendency to want to be a half step ahead of us. I reminded him once. Spry. Spry. Get over here. Spry. Spry, come here. Spry, come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. She says, I'm good. I'm good. Spry, come here. Come here. Now, here's one of those moments. Is it getting warm in here? Because I'm getting warm. So, I'm not big on dogs blatantly disrespecting me. Like that wasn't good moves, right? Get up. Good. 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 So part of this, what I'm doing right now is I'm just linking up with him. Because I'm going to ask him to do some stuff for me. I'm going to ask him to do some stuff off lead. I'm going to ask him to do a little bit of retrieving stuff. I'm going to show, oh boy. Right back to Dad. Come here. Come here. All this stuff is foundational. And it's necessary. Because when we do some of these drills, I'm gonna show you who's got young dogs, puppies. Who's got a puppy? Who's got a dog, not a puppy? Okay. Who's got a dog? How many do this? There's just a lot of dogs in here. So, any dog 1 year old and younger, how many? Raise your hand really high. Okay. 2 years old and younger. Okay. When I asked who's got a dog that's a puppy, did you guys raise your hands? You didn't? I saw it. You responded well. I like that. Anybody else not raise their hands? Back there he did. You guys all have puppies. 2 years old and younger. You got puppies. So the problem with it is I think dogs don't look like puppies. He doesn't look like a puppy. Like if I said I got this little puppy here, you'd all go, where is it? I'd like to see it. It's right here. That one, I've got a puppy right there. She's 2 years old. You know what I'm working on the majority? Now he's starting to pick up hard horns. We're working on him to pick up an elk antler because Jeff's going to hunt him out west. We're getting him excited at the idea of picking up something bigger. This feels really funny to him, especially early on. So I incrementally get him to this. But the majority of my time has been spent on foundational stuff. Because I can't do the elk shed hunting stuff without a good foundation. Because my foundation is what's going to build my skills. And the skills are going to be built doing specific drills. So I'll talk about, so your little cheat sheet card there, I haven't even talked about it yet. So and they're in no particular order. They really don't, I don't rank them 1 through 4, but some of the things on here, like incremental training, that's number 4. Everything we do is going to be building off of the last lesson. Everything I do. So I'm going to show you how that thing that I did where I had the dog and I pitched the bumper and I sent it. Did you notice how the dogs, when I pitched the bumper, what did he do? He didn't lunge. He didn't try to go get it. He had no thought that he was going to get it. He stared at it for a second, looked at me, and sat down. Okay? So how do I get that? Why do I want that? Well, it's a control thing. And what do I do to get it started? You guys that have puppies, who's got a puppy that can still pick up? Like it's little. Like, anybody got like 12 weeks or younger? Put your hands up real high. We got 1, 2, 3. 3 of you. You guys have really blank slates. I like that. Downside of it is there's just not a lot you're going to be doing with that dog at this point. You were at the booth. I had a couple, I don't think it was you, but I had a couple people asking me, when do I start with this? When are you going to start? When should I start with this? And I said, well, there's no time. Like, we don't set a date to it. We don't say, this many weeks. I think the dog needs to be big enough to pick this up without struggling. Because shed dogs don't find antlers because they like antlers. Duck dogs don't retrieve ducks because they like ducks. They retrieve them because they like to retrieve stuff and they like to make you happy. And so I condition in certain things to equal reward. So when those little puppies are home, even Taylor woke up. Like, that's a conditioned response. The food in my metal bowl sounds the exact same as it does at the kennel. And so when the puppies turned 4 weeks, they start weaning off of mom, they start feeding them. They feed them usually 3-4 times a day, and they usually do it consistently, the same time. Dogs like routine. They really like structure. Sometimes I struggle with it because my life isn't always very structured. Like, I'm just like anybody else. You got a family, got a bunch of stuff going on. It's hard for me to stay real structured. So sometimes my dogs struggle because of it. But they like it, and I know that, and I got to try to figure out how to do it. So we feed consistently. So when I bring the dog home at 7 weeks old, I get the bowl of food ready, I scoop it out of the thing, and I get it ready for him, and they usually come unglued. Is that guy in here that had that little puppy, 12-week-old puppy that was down there? I don't see him. There was a guy that had a 12-week-old puppy down there, and he came over to our booth, and as soon as he saw these dogs, he came unglued. The dog just wiggled and was fighting and really wanted to get out of that guy's arms, and he really wanted to get down and play with these dogs. And because it was, I'm sure, for a lot of its life, when it wiggled and fussed and you set it down. The dogs really train us to do what they want to do. So when I get the bowl of food ready for the dog gets very excited, and the reason is because back at the kennel, it was the best time of the day. They got to eat, and the other part of it was survival. They probably had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 brothers and sisters that wanted to eat them out of house and home. They had to eat, so they had to get a little lively or they wouldn't make it. So it's a real important time. I'm not a treat trainer. I don't use food as treat. I don't treat train. I use it as a motivation, especially with a young dog, because it's very motivating. So I'll get the bowl of food ready. I'll set it down for my dog, and I'll hold that little puppy in my arms. And they come unglued, and they wiggle, and they fuss, and they whine, and they moan, and sometimes they bark, and they do all sorts of stuff because they want to get set down, because they know it's time to eat. They smell it, they heard it. It's time to eat. So what I do is I start from day one. People ask me a question, when do you start training these dogs? The day I pick them up. And that doesn't, I don't care if it's 7 weeks, 7 months, or 7 years. It's the day I get them, that's the day I start training them. But I start changing habits that I don't like, and I start reinforcing the habits that I do like, making sure they know I like them. I pick the 7-week-old puppy up, 8-week-old, whatever, I don't care how old it is. I hold on to it, it squirms, it fusses, it whines. Its heart goes like this. Hold on to the dog. I don't say a word, and I just brace and I wait it out. And sometimes it takes patience. If you watch Live with Spry, 46 minutes was my record. It took 46 minutes. It's the boringest Live with Spry episode you're ever going to see. 46 minutes I stood there. And I got real close a couple times because it was kind of a little ways into it with her. And she fussed and whined. She got whiny. With her breathing, she'd do, I can't stand that. The last thing I'm going to do is set them down and let them eat when they do that. Because the next time they'll just do it that much harder. Because what got them the food was the last thing they did in their mind. So I held on to her until she stopped fighting, stopped whining, stopped wiggling, stopped fussing, and I was able to count to about 1,001, 1,002. I set her down and I let her eat. The last thing that happened before she got to eat is what she thinks did it. So timing is super important with training. So when I get the dog, it's funny how smart they are. Because the first day they have no idea. But they just happen to pause their little freaking out and I fed them. So then I do that again in the evening. And then I do it again in the morning. And then I do it again in the evening. And after 2 days, we have 4 lessons. And guess how much time it took me? None. I had to feed them anyway. So it didn't take me, I didn't have to do anything extra, but I got 4 nice lessons. By about the 3rd day, I picked the puppy up and they realized as soon as they calm down and settle down, they're going to eat. So I picked the little puppy up and they go like this. They just lay flat in my arms, dead as a doornail. And I go, oh, you're smart, you're a good girl. So I set her down, but I know this time I'm going to incrementally build off of it. So when I touch her feet to the floor, she scampers because she knows it's time to eat. So I just pick her back up. And then I lower her down, and as soon as her feet hit the ground, she goes like this, and I pick her back up. And I do that 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I don't care how many times it takes. Until I touch the feet to the ground, and she doesn't go like this. And I let her eat. And then I do it again the next time, and the next time, and the next time. And within about a day or 2, you take the pup, she's dead in your arms, she's just laying there. You get the food, you set it down, you touch her feet to the ground, and she goes like this. Statue. Because she knows as soon as she's a statue, I let her eat. So then from that, I push her butt to the ground. Then her butt hit the ground, and then I let her eat. And then I get that, within a week, I'm not joking how quickly it'll be, I'll go get the bowl of food and I'll turn around. And now I do this in the exact same spot every single day. It's repetition and consistency. Location is important. So this habit becomes formed. And I turn around and the little puppy is sitting in the spot that I always send her. Literally, she'll go there and sit down. Wait for that food. That's how quick, that's why I don't wait till they get a little older to start training them. Because wait till they get a little bit older, the bad habits form just as quickly, maybe quicker and stronger than the good ones do. So when I threw a bumper for him, what did he do? I just put the bowl of food out. What did he do? Heel. He's not going anywhere. He's steady, he's calm, he's quiet, he has not made a peep. What's that?
He said calm, he wants to go.
He's pretty tense now, isn't he? He's tightened up because he went, it's go time. So guess what I do? Well, we'll just talk it over. You know, I got a lot of things to say. But now he's looking at me. When you have your dog's eyes, you got him. A lot of times when I'm doing that heel work, I'm looking at their eyes. You'll notice I don't say much to them. I train with this group called Mighty Pet. If you follow our Facebook, we do these Mighty Pet things. It's a store. I help them with their training. There's a gal there that talks to her dogs so much, she makes me look like I'm quiet. Like she really jabbers constantly to the dogs. And one of her biggest things is I keep telling her, shut up. I say it nicely, but be quiet. Don't talk to the dogs. The words don't mean anything. It's body language that matters to them. It's tone that matters to them. I just wrote an article. It says it's about speaking really clearly to your dog without using a word. Because they don't need words. Words don't mean anything to them. It gets in the way. It's static. It creates confusion. His shoulders have relaxed. I oftentimes look for a dog to go, and as soon as they do that, next thing. You see it. Like, me just doing that made a difference. I get a little intense too sometimes. But me taking a deep breath once in a while is real calming. Tito. And so he gets a nice little reward for doing that. Now, when I set up a retrieve, it looks very similar to that little drill. It's instead of the food, it's the retrieve. Now the thing about it is if I decide to start, if I don't have this foundation, now this is stuff I would do with young dogs. If I don't have this foundation, when I start doing drills like retrieving in hallways, it's a mess. I got dogs running all over the place. I can't get them back. See how messy that was when Spry started running around? It's a zoo. It's a circus. I can't have it because I have no chance at gaining anything from any drill if I can't get them to be focused on that specific skill. So let's get Spry back. Get up. You need a leash? Okay, so how do I get dogs to start with the shed part? This is going to equal reward. So you all saw that drill that we pitch it out, send them on the retrieve. We throw it out. Heel. That's right. Good girl. Here. Good. Good. Dead. Did you all see how nice she came to me? How she sat. She sits to the whistle. I think these whistles are real important. I recall to the whistle. Beep, 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 beep. That means she can't help but hear that and come running. She sits to the whistle at a single blast. Beep. It's a control thing. I can stop them at a distance with a whistle. Beep. They sit. You saw it with Taylor. She had a bumper in her mouth, I'd blast the whistle, she sits. Those are all real nice control things that help me. So that little drill was real simple. But who here has a dog that likes to pick up the bumper? It's really fun and it's exciting. But then they come back and they like to show it to everybody in the neighborhood before they come back to you. Who's got that dog? I mean, they have victory laps. They like to play keep away. They like to show you it and then see if you can catch them. That's way more fun than what we just did. That's real frustrating as a trainer. So if you got a dog, here's a little tip. If you've got a dog that likes to take the victory lap, back up to your garage and make the retrieve. I just took away 50% of the victory lap. So she can go this way, but then she goes, nope, come back this way. I just eliminated some of the issues. You really want to fix it, build a corridor. I like baseball diamonds. Back there next to each other. Left field on one and right field on the other. They're wide, but they're channels. Straight out and straight back. Helps my dogs funnel. My dogs always make, in our puppy DVDs, you'll see my first retrieves are in my hallway. I closed the doors. There's nothing in the hallway, and I use a balled up sock. And I roll it down, and I let the puppy chase it down, and they pounce on it, and they pick it up, and they turn around, and they've got one option. Come back to Dad. And guess what Dad's doing on the other end? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, you're so good. How do you resist that? Come here. Sit. If you roll it down and stand there, they may look at you and go, and then you go, get over here. 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 What are who wants to go to that? Like I don't understand, Spry, come here. Come here. I can't understand why people why people struggle with recall and then they wonder why. And I say, well, show me what happens. And the dog runs out and they call it back and Max doesn't come back. So all of a sudden, Dad, Max, 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 get over here. Who wants to come to that? Who's done it? I've done it. Surprise, scared Liz right now. Because what the hell did I do? That tone changes. That is not welcoming. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Good, good. If I walk up to some strange kid in the park and I start hollering at him, get over here! Or if I go, hey, come here, I gotta show you something. And I get down and I'm welcoming to him. It's body language. She'll come over and I can scratch her. Good. Sit. So when we get that retrieve in the hallway, then from there, I go to my front porch. My front porch is long and narrow. It's got a wall on one side, but you can see through it. It's just a little bit different than the hallway, but it's out and back. Then when they get good at that, 5 days in a row, I move outside of it. All I did was go to the other side of the fence, of the railing, and I send it out. But out here's my yard. There's a little bit more world out there. But I've gotten her now 15 days into habits of going straight out and straight back. And she sees this little bit of an opportunity, but she goes, no, I'm used to coming right back. And Dad's over there at the other end going, I gotta go. So we build off of these things incrementally. Eventually, we get to the point. So I'm getting these dogs to understand this thing, pretty fun, Dad will throw it and go get it. Who has a dog here that will get it every time you throw it? But as soon as it's on the ground, they don't pick it up. It must be because I don't know why it is. I have so many people, they'll never miss it when they throw it. And you know what they say is, it's because it's got my scent on it. No, it doesn't. We'll talk about scent in a second. But that's not it. It's because every time they get retrieves, it comes from your hand. You throw it. They're conditioned. They're used to it. So here's the simplest way to fix that. It's just a bridging of a gap. You're just building a bridge here. Heel. You remember what it looked like when we did the food? We did it with Tito. Remember what it looked like when I pitched the bumper? We did it with these dogs. Heel. Now, I would not do this. Here's how prepared I was. I grabbed my bag, I threw it in the truck on the way out. This is not a Merce. This is not a man purse. This is my training bag that a dog chewed the strap on, and I had thrown it, and I'm so tight I don't throw anything out. So I set it in my garage, and I use a different bag. I grabbed the wrong bag, so I just tied it for this. Use a Merce. Use a man bag. Get these things out of your hand. Don't carry them when you're training a dog, because they're going to be watching it, not you. So you got to get this out. They'll listen a whole lot better when you don't have stuff in your hands. So put it in your bag. Heel. I heel her out. She heeled real nice. I pitched that little bumper. No. Heel. I heel her back. I said no heel. I heeled her back. I lined her up. If I had my little bag, I'd clip that on there. I wouldn't have to fool around with it. I line her up. I might even wait a little bit. Early on, I'd send her right now. But now I'll just wait a little bit. Spray. And I send her. Now, that's very similar. Good. Right here, right here. Good. Do you notice? As soon as she gets past there, she flares out a little bit. Well, if I was having a problem with her running off, what would I do? I'd stand right here. Because when she gets here, she can't flare out on me now. So that wasn't bad, but that was a real good example of just change the setup and it'll work better. But so what did I do different on that one than I did on the ones before? Carried it out. Carried it out. I dropped it. I said no heel. I brought her back. I turned around, I lined her up, and I sent her. And she picked it up no problem. But there was a big difference there between what I did before and what this one was. The difference was, this time, I didn't throw it. I didn't throw it. She didn't watch it. She didn't get scent on it. I dropped it. I turned around. I walked away. I could have walked 7 miles that way. Turned around and sent her, and she would have ran 7 miles back to pick it up. It's a trailing memory. And what it's doing is it's creating, first off, you can extend distances that way. I can only throw so far. So if I'm lining dogs and I want to send them further than I can throw, there's a lot of people here that go home and send your dog on a blind retrieve where they don't see it. You line them up and you send them. You'll see it where the dog runs to a certain point and then they stop and they start to hunt. I see it all the time. And then the people get frustrated because the dog won't work past a certain distance. It's like an invisible wall they hit. And I tell the people, I know why. I say, hey, show me how far you can throw a bumper. So they take a bumper and they throw it. And then I pace it off. And incredibly, it's the exact same distance that their dog runs out and stops to hunt. It's because they're so used to always going that far and getting the find, it's memorized. They know how many steps it takes to get to where the bumper should be, and they start to look. So we can extend it this way really easily. I can walk as far as I want. But the difference is the amount of time that took place for this drill. I walked out, dropped a bumper, came back center. 2.7 seconds is the amount of memory that a dog has short term. If it doesn't happen within that 2.7 second window, it's lost. So when I say that, I mean like if she steps off of the bed and 1, 2, 3, 4, I notice it and I go and no, get up. I missed it. She's not going to learn from that. It has to happen within 2.7 seconds of her stepping off for her to understand or correlate it back to the correction. It's also with the praise. If they do something good and you praise them 3 minutes later, they think you're praising them for whatever they did 3 seconds ago. So keep that in mind, but this 2.7 seconds was way beyond. So when I sent her on a retrieve, she picked it up off the ground, not out of my hand. Question?
What did the dog learn to not retrieve? You know what, they retrieved it 100 times.
Yep.
And then they did. What did they learn that caused that?
This is what issue you've had. So they've retrieved, and then they could be bored.
Okay.
They could be real bored. If you don't mix things up, I've got dogs that, it's different with different dogs. I have a couple dogs. Taylor is very easily bored. Where if I don't mix things up and give her a little bit of more of a challenge, if you've done it 100 times in a row, they might just go, forget this. Give me something more exciting than this. Sometimes I have to do stuff with her to challenge her just to keep her engaged. Or she'll look silly. And it's not because she doesn't know how to do it, it's just she's not that interested anymore. That can happen a lot, especially with young dogs. Because young dogs bore quickly. That's why lessons need to be pretty short when they're little. But so mix it up, use a different object. That's part of why I use this. People ask me a lot of times, they say, well, my dog already retrieves a shed. The reason I use this is because I don't want to introduce a dog negatively to this. And I've had dogs poke themselves with this. I had a little guy come up to me today and tell me my dog won't retrieve sheds because he poked himself. Well, I had that happen too. That's why I have this. So this is to condition the shape of an antler without a negative introduction where they're turned off by it. You ever hear of a gun-shy dog? They're not born gun-shy. Something happened. It doesn't always have to be a gun. But something happened in that dog's life where a loud noise was associated with something negative, and that is burned into their minds. And when loud noises happen, it's not good. 4th of July creates more gun-shy dogs than 12-gauge shotguns. Because we don't think about it, dog training on the 4th of July. But when the neighbor starts lighting off fireworks and our dog freaks out, we're not always there to say, let's set this thing up for success. So the shape of this antler has to be associated with a positive. But people say, well, I'm already beyond that. My dog picks up antlers. I don't have an issue with it. I think they're fine with that. I'm just going to stick with that. I say, that's fine. But what do you do when they get bored? My bird dogs, when they get to birds, don't just retrieve birds. Like, it's not realistic to always use birds when you get to birds. So we use all sorts of stuff. You want to know, you know what one of the things I would do? How old's your dog? How old's your dog? Oh. One of the things I would do, bring out my secret weapon. This thing is one of the best training tools a dog trainer will ever have. This with liquid antler scent on it. I picked this up, and if you can see my dog's ears, they're as perked as they've been, this whole thing. The tennis ball is really powerful. So I'm going to take this. This is liquid antler scent that we have. I'm going to put it on this tennis ball. I like tennis balls, especially when they're new, because they're real fuzzy. If they get real matted down, throw them out. Get a new one that's got a lot of foam to it, it'll be like a sponge. Now, didn't think twice about it, but I just threw it past her ear. I mean, the thing that was super exciting to her, I just whipped it past her ear. And she went, that's solid. I wouldn't mind having this little dog in a duck blind with me. I do all sorts of hunting with them. I don't just do shed hunting with them. But this control part, it's right here. Good. Now, where does that come into valuable for me? I'm walking down the ditch. There's a highway. A rabbit jumps out of the ditch and goes across the road. There's a car coming. Spry wants to really chase the rabbit. Spry really wants to chase the tennis ball. But Spry understands I'm not allowed to just free run. So she might go for that rabbit and then sit down and go, can I? And I'll say, no, you'll get hit by a car. So that control part's real valuable. Now, Taylor, I hate to wake you up, but Spry, get up. Taylor, come here. Spry, get up. Now, Taylor was sleeping through all of that. She's probably going, geez, I got to do something here. I'm going to give her a hunt command. So we talked a little bit about shape and the value of this shape. And to go back to this idea of, once they're to antlers, I might use this once in a while. This floats in the water. So my dog gets kind of bored on land, go to the water. So I'll pitch this in the water, and they'll get to retrieve the shape of an antler and condition the idea of a real positive thing. Man, those things are awesome. I love them. Plus I get to do it in the water. This is really good, if your dog likes the water. So shape conditioning is real important. That's why I use that training dummy. The idea of getting them to understand picking it up off the ground is something that sometimes is going to have to happen. It doesn't always come from... Anybody ever see a buck run through the woods and shed its antlers? I saw it on YouTube once. Like, you're not going to. So you have to teach these dogs to understand that it's not something that comes out of your training bag flying. It's something that they're going to have to quarter and cast, come across nose or eyes, conditioned to the idea of bring that back to dad, watch how excited he gets. So that's what we're working towards. The scent part of it, so I just rolled the tennis ball through a room that probably had spilled ketchup because someone ate their fries in the last seminar. There's all sorts of scent in here right now. This is going to be a little bit, this will be a little interesting to see how it goes. But I'm going to give her a hunt command. Her hunt command is, find it. I don't want to say it too loud because they're all going to start going. Find it. And I say it a specific way. I say, watch all three dogs right now. Watch their ears, and if you can, watch their nose. Find it. Find it. Find it. Find it. Find it. She's going, I know where it is. I saw. Taylor's going, damn it, I'm going to have to use my nose. Right now, her nose, if you look closely, her nose is likely going like this. These guys in the front see it, right? Look at her right now. She's really, if I continue to do that, you'll probably start to see water at their nostrils. Science has taken over. Pavlov rang a bell and got dogs to drool. Remember that part in science? Classic conditioning. Dog training is like that. You used to ring a bell, the dog would start to drool. And it's because of our little feeding drill here before. Before I set the bowl down, I'd ring the bell, and then I'd let the dog eat. And then I'd ring the bell, and then I'd let the dog eat. And then I'd ring the bell, and then I'd let the dog eat. When the dog eats, they have to salivate. It's how they process their food. When we see something that's really good, we start to salivate. We're excited. We're going to eat this. Dogs are the same way. Well, Pavlov would do it, and then he'd ring the bell, and he didn't put the food down, and the dog would start to drool. Because he just knew that the next thing is, I'm going to have to eat. This dog hears, find it. Find it, find it, find it, find it, find it. And they go, I can't help but go find something with my nose right now. This started out with as a puppy. I used to take, today you'd have to do it in the snow. I'd do it in the grass if it was warm out. But I'd mow a circle in the grass and I'd leave it a little bit taller. Today I'd shovel a circle in the snow and I'd leave a little bit of snow in the middle. And then I'd take food and I'd sprinkle it in the tall stuff, and then I'd take the dog downwind, and then I'd let the dog do what the dog does. It just uses his nose, and he'd smell the food. And when he found it, I'd read his body language and I'd watch his tail, and when his tail started to really go, I would stand in the background and I'd go, find it, 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 find it. And every time they found a little piece of kibble, they'd hear me in the background going, find it, find it, find it, find it. And pretty soon, I can say to them, find it, find it, find it. And they go, oh my God, there's food here. How did I find the food? I had to use my nose. The food started out as the lining. It ended up being the retrieve. The food started out with the hunt command. It ends up being a scented tennis ball. It's just incremental. It's very similar. We're just changing objects. So I'm going to take Taylor. Now, that ball, I see the ball. I don't want to do that. It ping-ponged around a little bit. I'm just going to take it and roll it a little bit. I have no idea where the wind is in here right now. I have no idea what scent is doing. Scent floats around. So in training, I'm always conscious of where's the wind. Sometimes I want them working into the wind. Sometimes I have dogs that work their noses too fast and too hard. So what do? I make them work with the wind to their back. It slows them down, harder on them. So they got to go out and work back, go out and work back. Sometimes with a young dog, I want to make sure they have success. So I go right into the wind. Let them follow the wind. Just depends. I have no idea what the wind is doing in here. So we're going to see how she works. Now that scented tennis ball splattered all over the carpet. There were a couple drops over here when I put it on. There's a couple drops over there. It left a little bit of a trail. She is likely to use her nose to find it, or at least get her in an area that she can visually see it. And when she sees it, she should pick it up and bring it back to Dad. Because that's a drill we've done, and that's a habit that's been formed. Find it. Find it. Now she works past it. And I don't say anything to her. I'm just going to let her go. So she hits the back, she works left, she works right. I'm not going to say a word to her. I'm going to let her figure this puzzle out. She had to be close. You watch her body language. As she goes through certain areas, you should be able to see her change her rhythm, her nose, her ears will change, her tail, pace of her tail changes. If she brings me back a French fry, I'll know we might want to start over. Watch how she slows down though. It's clear she was sleeping when this happened. That's good. I mean, if I sent her right now, I think she'd go right to it. Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Now, she brings it back to me. Wow, round of applause for her. I like that. Good. Very good. Now, some will look at that and go, Jesus, she ran by it 3, 4. How many times did she run by it? Multiple. How many people here have been frustrated when they went shed hunting because they've been training and then they go out in the field and they found the first one and they see it there and they go, oh, this is going to be awesome. And they bring their dog to find that shed, and that dog, here, get up. She says, I'll find this guy because he'll pet me. The dog runs over the shed. And then you go, deflated. And then the dog comes back and runs over it again. and then runs over it again, and then ran over it again. And by this time, you called your buddies over to watch because you have a shed dog. And your dog has run over the shed 3, 4, 5 times. And you're sick. You have a feeling, when my blood pressure was going up here and I was feeling warm, you're really mad. That damn dog, embarrassing me. Hey, who's ever been in that position? Put your hands up high. Be proud to be in that position because you're the only honest ones in here. It happens. I'll be it. I'll say it. Last year I had a dog, Ellie, took her out. My personal dog. Really proud of her. Quite a little project of mine. I really like her. She ran over the shed, tripped on it 3 or 4 times. And I mean, I was live on Facebook. Ah, man, was that embarrassing. There's a lot I had a guy that I talked to today that had that scenario. He said, how do I fix that? I said, here's the deal. What did you do? He said, well, I went and I picked it up finally. I kept going. That was the one opportunity you've had to have the real thing. It was the first one. I can go to a game farm tomorrow with a bird dog and put him on 100 roosters. It's not the exact same as the wild thing, but it's pretty close. It's as close as I'm going to get. It's a shed. But I can do 100 of them in a day. And I'm telling you right now, the first one, for the first time, the dog doesn't look very good. But by the 100th, they start shaping up. Who found 100 sheds last year? And you're in Iowa. I'm from Wisconsin. Like, you can't find sheds from deer that are shot when they're 1.5 years old. I've learned that over the years. It's hard. The woods aren't littered with sheds like some people think they are. You might have a few chances this year to find an antler. You have to find success with it. Yesterday I had him try picking up an elk antler and he struggled with it. You know what I did? I'm going to do it right now. We picked this up. I pitched it for him. He damn near picked it for us. He blinked on it. I think he was super uncomfortable. It was a ton of things that I had done wrong. I had done wrong, not him. I set him up poorly yesterday. So what I did at the end was the best move I could have had that day. Hold. Heel. Heel. Come on. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. That's a good boy. Did. Good boy. Good boy. Remember that happiest dog alive contest? He's in it. Hold. 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 Good boy. Come on. Come on. Good. And I didn't even have to tap him that time. Usually I have to bump him. Good boy. Good boy. Dead. That's a good boy. Good boy. Sit. Good. Hold. Hold. Come on. Come on. Come on. Different aisle. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hold. Come on. Come on. That's a good boy. 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 Good boy. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to bump it. I don't want to knock it loose on him. Good boy. A lot looser. Good boy. Comes back through the aisle a lot more confident than he went down it. Good boy. Dead. That was a lot more positive than yesterday. I'll end it on that. Yeah. How simple was that? Here's the thing. You don't have to break your personal records every day. Some days you're going to have a lot of problems. And the way to get a win out of it is just going to be take a step back, find something positive, and get out of the session. I feel way better about him right now because it's day 2 in a little seminar room and I didn't have to get disappointed with him. Because that dog that runs over the shed 10, 15 times and finally you go, damn it, pick it up and storm away. That dog goes, oh my God, he hates me. And they shut down. Like if you get frustrated with your dog, they're shutting down. So what does it take to be a good dog trainer? It starts with the P. Patience. Lots of it. 18 months old. 2 years old, nowhere near finished. 5 years old, she's getting there. She's nowhere near finished. I don't think she ever will be. So I think you got to get this out of your mind that when you train a shed dog, they turn into robots where we drink coffee in the pickup truck and they fill the barn. It doesn't work that way for lots of reasons. Will you find more antlers with a dog? 100% guaranteed. I have a client I trained a dog for this year. I still have her actually. She's going to go home pretty quick. But he found, the guy who owns her, found his first match set. He's never found a match set before. He found a nice match set this year, and I mean, he's beaming. He's super excited. So they're really happy, and they're very proud of the dog. And I said, man, where did you find it? I thought he found it over where we hunt in western Wisconsin. There's a lot of big deer. And he goes, no, I found it behind my house. It was in Appleton, by my house in Green Bay. And he's just all excited about it. And I said, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. He goes, yeah, she struggled. She ran over it. Like, she didn't pick it up right away. She ran over the first side. Finally, I got her to pick the first one up. And the second one, she kind of played with a little bit. But boy, she recognized it. She just didn't pick them up and bring it back. I said, I don't care. That's awesome. And I said, that is so cool. I didn't know you had He lives out kind of in the country. I said, man, I didn't know you had deer like that you could find sheds behind. He goes, yeah, it's awesome. My first match set. I said, cool. He's so excited because now he has a shed dog and he's seen results. I mean, he is finding more sheds than he's ever found before. And I said, do you find a lot of sheds behind your house? No. No. I don't find a lot of sheds behind my house. This is so cool to have a shed dog now. And I said, well, how often did you shed hunt back there? He said, this is the first time I ever went. He found sheds because he went shed hunting. If you don't go, you won't find them. That dog is the reason he went. I shed hunt way more because of her, and I'm telling you right now, you do anything more often than you would have, you're more likely to succeed. You're going to. The reason he found an antler is because he went, and he brought a dog with. The reason he went is because he had a dog. That alone will find you more sheds. They cover more ground, they use their nose, they use their eyes, that stuff for sure. I have a buddy that finds 100 plus sheds every single year. He's an outfitter in Buffalo County, Wisconsin. He's always finding over 100 sheds. Always. And I ask him every year, how many would you have, I trained a dog for him named Scout. I said, how many would you have found if you didn't have Scout? And he usually tells me, almost every year, I find probably another 15 to 20 sheds a year because of the dog. Some people won't find 15 to 20 sheds in a lifetime. For him, it's 15 to 20 out of 125. So if you find one, like you run the numbers on that, find 2 sheds. The guy that found 2 sheds this year, that's never found a shed before in his life, really increased his percentages. Like, he's doing a lot better than he has before. The guy that finds a couple hundred sheds a year isn't going to find 1,000 more because of it. But if they find 15 to 20 more, that sounds like a lot. Well, yeah, but he's already finding 100 anyway. So I don't think it's one of these things. Hey, Stevie Wonder can find a big shed in a hayfield. Like, we don't need dogs for that. It's the 1 or 2 that are tucked. I'm a pretty good shed hunter, I think. I can find them without a dog. But I find a lot more because I go more and I get invited to a lot better places. The guy with the best duck dog usually shoots the most ducks. He gets invited to the best holes. You got a bad shed, you got a bad duck dog, you get uninvited really quickly on duck hunts. They just ruin them. But the guy with a shed dog, watch how many people find out you have a shed dog and go, you can walk my farm, just let me know what you found. You're just going to open doors to find more sheds. And you will. So I don't want people to think that, like, they're robotic. Taylor ran by the tennis ball 4 or 5 times, and I'll bet anyone in here she will find the tennis ball. It just might take her 4 or 5 times to go past it. She'll find it. She'll bring it back. And you know what? I get no less points for 4 or 5 times running past it than I did for the first one. So keep it in mind. I don't want people to get discouraged, and I don't want you to give up opportunities over the next 6 weeks because you don't have the patience. You might only have a few chances. Take advantage of every one of them.
Do you have particular areas that you might work more so?
As far as like general location?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Find it.
Totally. For me, 100%. I think it starts with food. Because I'm a numbers guy to a point. Like, I'm not very good at math, but I think about numbers a lot. And I think you have a better chance of success. Their chances of falling are going to be wherever they spend the most time. And so by us, we have a lot of snow right now. It's hard on the deer. It's great for a shed hunter. Because right now I have to walk about 1/10 of the woods. Even there's enough snow around here that those deer are in survival mode. There's not a lot to eat. It's extreme temperatures. They're burning a lot of calories just to stay alive. So they're conserving every ounce of energy that they can. So food source is first and foremost, because 90% of the time I think they're within 40 acres of a food source if they can be, because they got to travel less. So I start at food and I work back to bedding. That's my personal way of doing it. What I love about the snow is they don't wander the woods. They get on a trail and they go to where they eat, and then they get on a trail and they go back to bed. They scatter out in their bedding area. So like literally, we hunt on a 600-acre farm, about 300 acres of woods, and I bet you we'll have to shed hunt about 15 acres total this year. Now, 15 acres total, it's gonna be spread out, but I'll walk trails through a 100-acre chunk of woods. I'll walk 3 trails because there's not a track off of those trails. If there's not a track off of the trails, there's no sheds there. They're gonna be on the trail, they're gonna be in the bedding areas, or they're gonna be in the food. That's where I found most of my success. But, so if you can find food, if you can find a good food source, and then you can find an area that isn't bothered. That's the other part. You can have great, it can look great, but if people are in there bumping them around, they're just not going to spend the time they need to spend to drop them, unless they're shedding at night. So that's, and you know, that's a macro idea. The micro idea of it is, on our farm, there's little shelves and troughs on bluff edges that face, everyone's big on south-facing hills because it's a little bit warmer, and it is. But by us, if you get we get these bluffs, and then there's like a little bit of a hog's back ridge, and there's a little bit of a shelf on it, a buck will always lay there. And so they lay most of the day by us. Almost all day they lay down. So I got 12 hours of the 24-hour day that he's in one single spot. I've shed hunted Nathan here. I've shed hunted his place in Jackson County, and we found the first year we came up to do it. He's a buddy of ours, and when we came up to shed hunt his farm, we found 3 years of one buck on a ridge. 3 different years of the same deer. You think I know where he's going to go lay next winter? I mean, they're habitual as all get up. I found on my farm in Buffalo County, I've got a buck, I've got 3 years of sheds. They were within 150 yards of each other. And I bought the land, or I leased the land, found his fresh both sides, and then in the next couple months, I found 2 other years of that deer within 100 some yards. So now some, I've hunted on a farm in Iowa, we found one side, it was on a buddy's land, and then the neighbor like 3 miles down the road had the other side. So he went a long ways before. So they're not all the same, but good question. Who else asked a question? Oh, I didn't bring the whistles. Stop by our booth. Whoever, he left, the guy that asked a question. I got a whistle for you. So I give whistles away. All of a sudden the hands go up. I got one for you.
You ever take more than one dog with you to go?
I do when they get older. Okay. Good question. He asked, do you take more dogs? I work dogs together after they're really good on their own. You can't, I had a person asked me that yesterday. They're getting a second dog and they want to know about training them together. And I said, you can't. You have to train them separate. They have to be very good separate, and then they have to work together. But you can't, there's too many distractions. So young dogs I like to work by themselves. I got a client right now that I trained a pheasant dog for. And so we hunt his pheasant dog by herself. And then I have Ellie, the dog that ran over the sheds for me. I pheasant hunt with her too. I bring her with after the 5th, 6th time we've gone. I brought Ellie with. And I didn't let Ellie quarter and cast. I made Ellie heel off lead with me. And so this little Cody dog would quarter and cast, flush, and then we'd call Cody back, or we'd have Cody sit to a whistle, and then I'd send Ellie on a retrieve. And that got her to honor other dogs. But early on, when it first started, all I wanted Cody to focus on was quartering and casting and flushing, not wrestling with Ellie or trying to pick a fight with Ellie. Good question.
How important is their footwork? And how do you train that?
Their footwork is important to me because if I can't get them good right here, I don't stand a chance out there. It all starts here. So their footwork, it's got to be great next to me in order for me to have control at a distance. And how do I do it? Heel work. I spend so much time on heel work. A lot. Because I think it does some functional things, but I also think it helps me with connection and trust and feel. Good question.
Do you ever introduce an e-collar or not?
I don't use collars.
Okay.
I think shock collars create more issues than they fix. They wreck timing. They wreck natural timing, and the people that use them don't know how to use them. And you'll create more problems than you'll fix. People want to do things fast and easy. I got news for you. Dogs don't care about fast. Things have changed over the years. Dogs haven't. So it takes patience. Am I out of time? Okay.
3 more questions.
3 more questions.
Where's the best place to start with a 3-year-old dog from the shelter?
In the beginning. He asked, where's the best place to start with a 3-year-old dog from the shelter? Is that what you said? In the beginning, and I don't say that to be a jerk. Because I don't care how old they are, it has to start in the beginning. So you can't hold the puppy. If you can, you're on my weightlifting team. You can't physically hold it, so get the dog to sit. Start with having him sit and be patient. And then take the exact, like we have a puppy DVD, we have a foundation DVD, we have a shed DVD, we have a tracking DVD, game recovery. They're all kind of linked together. But you got to start in the beginning. So I hate calling it a puppy DVD. It's a marketing thing. I hate calling it a puppy DVD because you'll look at it and go, I don't have a puppy. And you don't. By rights, you don't. I should say the beginning DVD, the middle DVD, towards the end DVD. There's no finished. So, but people would be confused at that. So, you gotta start, I still think you got to build the same foundation under your 3-year-old dog that I have to do under a 7-week-old dog. The nice part about a 3-year-old dog is it probably has a big head start on some things. It might have a lot of bad habits too. You'll have to fix the bad habits. You got to plug the holes in order to be able to continue to move on.
How do you get your dog interested in the shed dummy, or like the dummy shed that you have right away? Because I have a dog that we got the dummy.
How old?
Almost 2 years old.
2 years old? And so
He retrieves anything else, like a regular dummy won't throw, but he won't go after the shed dummy.
So I'd stop with the other dummies.
Okay.
And I'd maybe take a break from retrieving altogether. Does he like to retrieve?
He loves to retrieve.
So I'd stop retrieving. Boy, it gets a little bit of a fire burnt up. And so, and I'd start in a real controlled, and I might go back to what did you have as a puppy?
About a year old.
About a year old. So when that dog first started retrieving, I bet you someone got really excited when it made its first retrieve. Oh my God, that's so cool! Oh, you're so good. Yeah, you too. That tone and excitement connects to the dog, and they go, wow, cool. So treat that dog like it's its first retrieve ever. Encourage it like it's its first retrieve ever. When it happens to pick it up, go nuts. Treat the dog like it saved the world. And then watch it go, wow, that's all it took to get mom that excited? And then they'll start to understand. It falls on the handler. Build up the excitement.
What booth are you in?
What booth are we in? A23, I think.
A23.
We got to pack it up. Hey, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Stop down at our booth.